All right, let's talk about overthinking. And let's get one thing straight right off the bat. It is not some kind of personal flaw. It's actually a really common, predictable pattern that happens in our brains. And here's the cool part. Neuroscience can show us not just why we get stuck, but how we can actually start to break free. Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. It's that feeling, like your mind is a hamster wheel and you just can't seem to get off. This is super common, and it's exactly what we're going to dig into today. Okay, so that mental loop, it's not just some vague, fuzzy feeling. It actually has a name, a clinical one. And trust me, just knowing what to call it is the very first step toward getting a handle on it. And that term is rumination. Now, it's really important to get this straight. This is not the same as productive problem solving. Not at all. It's a destructive cycle. You're not actually getting anywhere or finding a solution. Instead, you're just kind of circling the drain of a bad experience, getting stuck on all the whys and what ifs, but never actually moving forward. So why? Why does our brain even do this in the first place? Well, to figure that out, we've got to pop the hood and take a look at the wiring inside, the specific brain networks that are calling the shots when we get stuck. Okay, so meet the main character in our little drama, the default mode network, or DMN for short. Think of this as your brain's internal monologue, its chatterbox. It's the part that lights up when you're just daydreaming, thinking about yourself, replaying a memory, or planning for the future. It's totally essential for, being you. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. When that DMN goes into overdrive, all that helpful self-reflection, it sours. It turns into that toxic rumination we were talking about. And it gets worse. Your amygdala, which is basically your brain's panic button, it hears all this internal noise, totally freaks out, and starts flooding your system with anxiety and fear. And what does that do? It just gives the DMN more negative fuel for the fire. It's this awful, vicious cycle. This is such a great way to picture what's happening. Think of it like a seesaw in your brain. On one end, you've got the DMN. That's all your internal thoughts, your in-your-head stuff. And on the other end, you are something called the frontoparietal network, or FPN. That's your focus on the outside world, on what you're actually doing. The thing is, they can't both be up at the same time. They work against each other. So when that DMN side is way up high and you feel totally stuck inside your own head, the FPN side is slammed down on the ground. And that's why it feels almost impossible to just snap out of it and focus on something else. Okay, so we've got this seesaw, and it's stuck, tipped to one side. But why does it get stuck like that? The reason is, this whole rumination thing, it's not random. It's a habit, a learned mental habit that our brain actually gets better and better at doing over time. And this famous saying from neuroscience really nails it. See, every single time you replay that negative thought loop, you're not just thinking, you're physically strengthening the connections in your brain for that thought. It's exactly like carving a path in the dirt. The more you walk it, the deeper it gets, and the easier it is to fall into next time. You are, quite literally, training your brain to become a professional overthinker. So let's break down how this habit actually gets locked into place. It's all thanks to this sneaky thing called negative reinforcement. So step 1, something stressful happens, a trigger. Step 2, your brain kicks into rumination mode. But here's the really crucial part, the reward. It's not that you feel good, it's that for a little while you get relief from feeling bad. You get to avoid the anxiety of actually having to do something about the problem. Thinking becomes a way to avoid doing. And your brain, clever as it is, learns, hey, this thinking loop is a safe place to hide from scary action. And that just makes it way more likely to do it again next time. Okay, so that's the bad news. That's the problem. But here's the really, really good news. The same brain that wired itself into this habit can unwire it. That's the magic of neuroplasticity. It works both ways. So let's pivot and talk about what we can actually do about it. Let's talk solutions. To make this super clear, let's use an example. Let's talk about Sarah. I mean, come on, we've all been Sarah, right? She says something in a work meeting, and now she can't stop replaying it, absolutely convinced that everyone thinks she's an idiot. So what can she do right then and there to stop the spiral? The great thing is, there isn't just one tool for this job. There are a few different, powerful approaches. First up, with CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, Sarah basically becomes a detective. She puts the thought on trial and asks, okay, where's the actual evidence that everyone thinks I'm incompetent? Any facts here? Then there's ACT, which stands for acceptance and commitment therapy. Here, she doesn't argue with the thought. She just distances herself from it. She can picture it like a loud, annoying passenger on a bus.
It can scream all at once, but it's not driving. And finally, there's mindfulness. This one's maybe the simplest in theory. You just notice the thought. You say, oh, look, there's that worry thought again, without judging it, and then gently bring your attention back to right here, right now.
So, we've been talking all about how to fight overthinking. But I've got a fascinating twist for you. What if sometimes trying to think less is the key to learning more?
I know, that sounds totally backwards, doesn't it? I mean, we're always told to focus harder and use your brain to learn something new. But what if trying too hard is the very thing that's holding you back?
Check this out, because this is wild. So researchers put people in a brain scanner and had them learn a simple new game. And they found that the people who picked it up the quickest were not the ones whose brains were lighting up like a Christmas tree in the cognitive control areas. You know, that FPN we mentioned? Nope, it was the complete opposite. The fastest learners actually showed less brain activity in those thinking hard regions. It's like they were able to just let go and let their brain learn more intuitively. And this chart just says it all, loud and clear. Just look at the massive difference in brain activity. The slower learners, their brains were working overtime, totally overthinking it. But the fast learners, they somehow managed to quiet all that noise. They weren't trying to learn, they were just learning.
And really, that brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. Look, understanding all this brain science isn't just for fun. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's about getting your energy and your focus back. When you break that cycle of overthinking, you don't just feel more peaceful. You literally free up a huge amount of prime real estate in your mind. So the final question for you isn't just about how to stop overthinking. It's about what incredible things you're going to do with all that mental energy once you get it back.